Hi, this is Ryan, and I'm going to show you the couple steps I took to create some data that we pulled off of here on the ACLED website, which I had not heard of before. So this is kind of neat to see that this data exists. So I went ahead and registered, used my .edu account so that I could access this data. Downloaded the file. First thing I read, a little bit about it and what this website is providing, just to get an understanding of what data I'm downloading. First off, so I downloaded the file. I saw that it was an Excel spreadsheet, which I know is not spatially referenced or anything. So I'm going to get a database essentially of some information. So I opened up my spreadsheet. First thing I did was start looking through all the different data fields just to see, what each event is providing. So I have dates, type of event, who was involved, where it was located, city, state, and then, I got excited when I started to see the lat long data has been provided for all of these events. So I knew that I could then bring that into ArcPro and populate some data points. So I expanded all my columns so that it showed all the data. Then I saved it as a .csv just because it's a little bit easier to work with in ArcPro. So I opened up a new map. I've already done a couple steps here now and started a new session, and I brought in my data table down here, my .csv, and went to display data and went ahead and created some points using that database. Whoops, I don't need to run it again. And what I got is what you're seeing here on the screen. Got all these data points for all of the United States. And this is every single event that was recorded. I guess that kept running. So I have it twice. So I wanted to filter this down and see just which events caused human harm. Unfortunately, a fatality. So it looked like most of these were peaceful protests. The large majority of these were. So I felt I could filter this down first, focusing on where some actual fatalities happened. So I opened up my data table, saw what information I'm dealing with, some numbers here on in the fatality column. So I went to select by attributes, new selection, scroll down to fatalities. This one is greater than 0. And I did my selection. So I started to see my data points here that I'm working with. And I extracted that data as a feature class. So I saved that to my week 3 folder. And clear that section. And I brought that in right here, ACLED 2020 fatalities. So now I'm working with a much smaller data set, not quite as many numbers, and showed all the points first, and I just wanted to do a quick visualization of the data and symbolize it a little bit differently just so I could see where the largest events happen. The more fatalities, the larger the dot, and just some areas kind of jumped out. San Francisco, here in Colorado, St. Louis. So that was the first thing I did. I could continue doing this with the data. Like something interesting might be just to see in correlation with all the fatalities who was involved, where other non-peaceful events might have happened. So I could continue doing new selections. So I could do the sub-event is not equal to peaceful protest. Here's all the different protests that occurred, and it seemed like if it wasn't a peaceful protest, it looked like there was some sort of disruptance or violence. So I can select is not equal to peaceful protest, and I run that. Turn this back on. And I can start seeing where all the non-peaceful protests have happened in comparison to the peaceful protest, and continue creating different data that I want to work with, and depending on what question I want to answer, I can kind of see what this data provides and continue making some points and running comparisons and symbologies. So that's the first things I'd do with this data. Hopefully that makes sense. All right.